So we're live Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and then I just have to press this one. Thinking about our circadian rhythm, thinking about boosting our cortisol levels first thing in the morning. Very much what we're doing anyway in the 5 elements warm up and what we're doing in warm up in general, but just slightly different, adding a little bit of an energizing breathwork practice in. So taking your feet shoulder width apart, finding space, making sure you've got space in front and behind and side to side. You're not going to knock anything over. Feet shoulder width apart. Really nice and stable and supported through the ground. Remember, we're moving from the hips and the waist, but that movement comes from the ground. So just that idea of the heels just being very gently drawn towards the center line. You'll notice that works its way up the leg, keeping the knee soft, the ankle soft, softness in the hips. So working on the spine rotation, knocking on the door of life. Breath is just easy in and out through the nose. And imagine you've just got a string just very gently lifting you from the crown of the head. So we keep particularly that upper back long, the neck long, without forcing anything. Slowing it down into water waves. Here, just notice that contrast, slowing the movement and spiraling through the fingers, through the wrists, through the elbows. And through the legs, through the ankles, through the knees, through the hips. Let's take a standing position, palms facing down to the ground, 4 fingers pointing, or index fingers pointing forwards. Just imagine you've got a little bit of pebbles in between each of those fingers. Breath settles. And then bringing your elbows up to shoulder height, sitting back a little bit, spinal cord breathing, tilting the pelvis so you're spilling out the front of the pelvis, and then tucking the tailbone underneath so you're spilling out the back as you coordinate that with that upper body. Breathing with the movement, breath in as you expand. And breath out as you curl up into a little ball. On the next one, we'll change direction of the breath. So when you breathe out and curl up into a little ball, stay there, and then breathe into the back. So we're just breathing the other way around. Breathe into the back, And breathe out as you expand. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's do 2 more. And then take a rest again with your palms facing the ground. Letting the breath settle. A little bit of roundness in the elbows. And letting the arms relax. Dog wags the tail. So pelvis shifting side to side, but staying parallel to the ground. And then you're just freeing up the spine on top of that. So you get a nice wave through the spine. And slowing it down. Now, one of the things we were talking about on Saturday at the masterclass was bone health and how during the night the bones clear themselves out, and then during the day they start to rebuild. So we're just going to do some of the vibration, some of the shaking, and particularly the tapping of the heels into the ground to get that vibration through the body, to have in mind that we are helping that's not a word, helping to build bone strength. So just tapping the heels into the ground, shaking, letting the shoulders go, and then shaking the wrists. And remember the spine, so let that head go a little bit. Remember each of the spines, bones in the spine, the individual vertebra. There's that little bit of space between each of the vertebra to allow the spine to flex, extend, rotate, just as we've been doing in our little bit of a warm-up. You want to strengthen the spine. We can do the washing machine where you tap your heels alternately. If you want to do a little bit of a cleansing and a clearing breath with that, breathing in fully or fuller and let go. Good. Oh, shake, 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 shake. Shake, 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 shake. Shake everything out and take a rest. Let's go back to standing. Let's do palms. Let's do palms facing forwards here. Opening the shoulders. Again, spreading the fingers. Letting that breath settle. And we're just going to do a little bit of an energizing breath now. So we know a lot of breath work we're using to down-regulate the nervous system. It's always good to use some breath work when it's safe to do so, to up-regulate the nervous system, particularly first thing in the morning when our cortisol levels are rising. We want to be able to boost that, support that, so work in sync with our body. So we're going to do 10 full breaths, and by full I mean breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. and I'm going to give you like a 2-second count. At the end of those 10, we'll do, I'm going to count 10 seconds pause, but you go to a comfortable pause. If you start to feel out of breath and it starts to feel too challenging, excuse me, just take a breath in. And of course, if you don't feel like doing this, you don't have to do it. It's safe, but if you start to feel dizzy or don't feel comfortable with it, don't do it. So we'll do it standing. Get yourself nice and supported and stable on the ground. Just letting the breath settle. We'll do it twice, and then we'll go into our 5-element flow. So just noticing the breath to start off with. The easiest place to notice the breath is in and out through the nose. Always a nice place to tune in with the breath. Remember, when we're breathing slightly fuller, it's not about just pulling the shoulders up and using all of those accessory muscles. Remember, you can breathe low into the ribs. So if you want to put your hands on your ribs to do so, you can. So you can feel that breath going low. Or just keep your arms relaxed, whatever feels good for you. So let's take a breath out. We're going to do 10 slightly fuller breaths. So breathing in, out, 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 in, out. Next one, we're going to hold the breath at the bottom for 10 seconds, breathing in, out, and hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now just breathe easy. Just let that breath settle back to a normal, easy breath. Again, noticing the air. Easiest place to notice the breath, the air in and out the nose. The other thing to remember as well, I was talking to a new group last week, and it's something that Jacko, one of the other master instructors, really highlights, is remember the breath isn't going up the nose. We're not pulling the breath up, we're taking the breath back. And there's a big difference if you feel the breath going back. I don't know if anybody had one of those horrible COVID things stuck up the nose. They didn't put it up that way, they went backwards with it. So remember, we're breathing back. All that space, you've got about a fistful of space in your skull to filter the air, warm the air, etc. So we're going to go back. We'll just repeat that another 10 times. We'll do it a little bit quicker. So again, remember, the purpose of this practice is to energize the body, to create more stress on the system in a good way. So just breathing easy in and out through the nose. Noticing the air. Remember the coolness going back. Taking a breath out, a little bit quicker now. Breath in, breath out, 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 breath in, breath out. Pause at the bottom of the breath there for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let the breath settle back to a normal breath. And what you might notice is as you start to be a little bit quicker, even when you start to do them slower but bigger, and I was almost doing it, I know I was using my arm, but you're almost like getting that spine wave. So it's almost like breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. So very much like we are doing spinal cord breathing. Have another little bit of a shake out. And now we'll go through the 5-element flow. So we've done our little bit of warm up, we've done our mobilization. We're going to go into our 5-element flow. So taking your feet shoulder width apart. Nice and stable and supported. I think I'm out of focus. Let me just move up a little bit and then come back. Hopefully in focus there. Slowly going back. Feet shoulder width apart. First element, metal. Buddha holds up the earth, rounding the arms. A little bit of softness in the elbows. Breathing in. The breath here is very light and soft. And then breathing out. Remember to go to the edge of your flow range and not overreaching. So I'm not stretching up. These are not stretches, they're flows. Remember to use the thumbs as well. That was one of the things when Andrew was in Porto, that we're just using the thumbs to use the rotation. It's a nice way of feeling it. Sort of like there, the thumbs are rotating. Feeling that spiral. Metal element focusing on energy and breath. Remember to go your pace. Let your breath guide the movement. Let's do 2 more. Again, tuning in with how the spine responds, spine moves. And then coming to our standing position, palms facing down, a little bit of roundness in the elbows. Next element is water. And the movement is the fountain, focusing on flow, relaxation. Back of the hands together, coming up from the ground. Imagine you're drawing energy from the ground up the center line of the body. Elbows come to shoulder height. Elbows get heavy and drop. And then you get that little fountain at the top. Get that slight hinge forwards. So when we did this in Porto with the group, we were stood watching the river. And when we did it In Spain, in the Costa Brava, we were watching the lake and watching how water flows. There's no start, no stop. Again, feel how the spine creates that movement. Do two more. Oh, lovely. And then back to our standing position. Feel that space between the elbows, that roundness in the elbows. Next element is the wood element. So combining strength and flexibility, just as a tree does as it sways in the wind. Really focus on the smoothness and flow of this movement as well. It is very easy to make it look quite robotic. So we want to really focus on that smoothness of rotation to one side, breath in, gentle pause at the breath at the top, breath out. Gentle pause at the breath as the bottom as you rotate, and then breath in. Really helps you to lift tall when you're pointing your fingers to the crown. And this is nice because you can play with extending the breath a little bit here. So see how you can slow the breath with that pause and space at the top of the breath. Pause and space at the bottom of the breath. Still keeping it smooth. Let's do one more to each side. And then our standing position, standing posture is embracing the tree. So you're bringing your palms in front of your chest, dropping the elbows a little bit, finding balance. So just making sure the pelvis isn't tucking too far forwards, tilting too far back. tall through the spine. And just allowing the body to find its natural balance, where you'll find strength where you need the strength, softness, let go where you can let go a little bit. No need to have tension in the shoulders. Imagine you're going to stand in this position for the next 2 hours. But we're not going to stand in this position for the next 2 hours. We're going to bring our palm towards the ground. We're going to go into the fire element. Move hands like clouds. Again, this can start to look a little bit robotic. So making sure there's a consistent flow all the way through the movement. So I'm not just holding my arm up and then changing direction. It's changing, it's subtly changing that direction all the way through the movement. And the movement is coming from the hips, so we're creating a sort of like a figure of 8 with the hips. Excuse me. Woke up with a little bit of cold today, so I'm going to blame Helen from Costa Brava. Move hands like clouds. Fire element. And just breathe however you feel comfortable breathing. So you could breathe in one direction, you could breathe in, and you could breathe out in the other direction, or just let the breath be very gentle, soft and easy in and out through the nose. Then taking a rest standing position. And just finishing with the earth element, pebble in the pond. So it's like you're dropping a pebble in the pond. There's that ripple out. And you are breathing out as we get that ripple out. Breathing in as you come back. Earth element, grounding. Smooth, smooth, smooth. And then interlocking your fingers, resting on the lower dantian, bringing your feet together. And just a few moments of closing your eyes now. Final standing posture, bamboo in the wind. So as with the tree, wood element, and the tree sways in the wind, very similar, focusing on that strength, but also the flexibility required. Yeah, until breath in and out through the nose. Now taking a calm, full breath in through the nose. Opening your eyes, stepping your feet out, giving yourself a gentle brush down. arms back, legs, have a little bit of a shake out, and we will finish there. Thanks as always for joining. Hope you enjoy that. We're going to do 5 elements again on Wednesday, so we'll run it one more time, and then we'll most probably mix it up a little bit going on next week and the next few weeks. As always, if you have anything you want to work on in particular, do please get in touch, do let me know, and we'll always aim to incorporate that into the sessions. Have a great rest of your day, have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Take care. Bye. Bye-bye.